Hi, gorgeous. This is episode number 246 with the amazing Andy Audate.
Hey, this is Andy Audate. You are listening to Heart Self Podcast with Christine Slawski. Enjoy.
Well, I am so excited to have Andy Audate on the show today. You are going to have fun with him. He is a college dropout, under 30 years, and taking the world by storm. Today, we are going to talk about the mindset of growth, which Andy really put onto himself. He is a published author, motivational speaker, and serial entrepreneur. And Andy is widely recognized as an eminent speaker with a delivery that is high energy and human potential stimulating. He was raised in a city of impoverishment. He's a college dropout with little formal education, but he has taken the path of an entrepreneur, forcing a course of endless self-education that has amounted to his successes. He now lives in LA and he helps entrepreneurs to start and scale their businesses. I'm super excited to share his success story with you, so let's dive right in. Well, Andy, I am so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
I don't know if you're more excited or if I'm more excited, but I'm pretty excited, man. I'm pretty excited.
I know, just looking at how you turned your life around or what you made out of your life, right? College dropout, under 30, and taking the world by storm. Tell us a little bit, give us a little bit of a background.
So I'm originally raised on the East Coast, and it's interesting that you mentioned like, hey, let's go a little bit deeper in the beginning of our call, where you said, hey, how do we go deeper? Like, let's go deeper in our call, which is dope, because doing all these podcasts, I'll do like 40 in a month, and doing all these shows, it's kind of like the same script that's kind of repeated. It's like, raised in an impoverished area, started a business, left, moved to California, became a speaker, and now I host tours around the country. So let's go a little bit deeper. But on the surface level, I was raised in an impoverished environment in the smallest state, in the smallest city in that state. And it was about 1 square mile. So it was like a crabs in a bucket type of place. And I knew that for me, I wanted to be in a different environment that allowed me to thrive. It was very important that I put myself in a position where I can be in an environment that allows me to thrive. So I started listening to personal development, and after listening to people like Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas, I got infused with this mindset of growth, of going to the next level. And there came a point in time where I realized that you're always growing, and if you're not growing, you're dead. So you're always growing, either upwards or downwards. Like you're always going somewhere. And so that's why that gave me this perception or this understanding that life is about progression. If you're going up, life is about progression. It's just about going to the next level. So there's no success where you end the journey. Success is a journey, and you're always going towards something. That's what progression is.
Yeah, totally agree. So how did you find personal development in that tiny place, in this tiny state?
I don't know, man. It might have been a Google search, and I said, success mindset. It's interesting, right? How much I've been infused with personal development over the last maybe 10 years, 8 years. Probably started off with a Google search of like how to be successful. So I go from listening to rap music, but how do I become successful? And then, watching maybe someone's YouTube video of like how to become successful. And then they say a certain person's name, and that person, I end up going to search that person on YouTube. And then I found that person on YouTube, and I, consume their content, and then I buy their book, and then I'm listening to their podcast. Next thing you know, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I love that. So that's for many people, they have this drive within them, but they are in places where where this is not nourished or where it's not taught. You have to do something yourself to figure it out. And Google is obviously a good place to go to start that journey. And then, as you said, one thing leads to the other. So right now you are in beautiful California. Your whole life has changed and is different. You're running your own business.
Yeah, I run a marketing firm as well as I run Audate Enterprises, which is a seminar production company, and we produce seminars throughout the country. And then my business partner, who is walking in, where I'm at the office right now, my business partner who is just walking, we run a progression marketing group, which is a content-based marketing firm that we edit content and we edit content-based advertisement for people so that way they can grow their subscribership, grow their customer base, and get more exposure in front of the masses.
Yeah, awesome. And you did that because you wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, now looking back, I don't know if I didn't want to be an entrepreneur actually. When I was 19, so I'm 24 now, so this is like 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago. Someone who believed in me, we were leaving the gym. I was working at Metro PCS. Let's backtrack even a little bit more than that. I'm working at Metro PCS. I need employees because I was 18 years old and I was a manager. I was a lead manager at a store. So I was doing so well in sales that they were like, hey, let's put this kid in management position. Maybe he could teach these older folks how to sell. So I get into management position and I'm leading people who are much older than 35, 40, 26, so on and so forth. And I needed employees. So my only mindset or like reach for relationships was my high school. So I hired somebody from my high school, gave him a job, and we were working out one day. And as we were leaving the gym, he said, man, like, I believe in you, bro. Like, to the point, I think you should open up your own cell phone store. And I was like, man, I don't think I should do that, bro. Like, I'm 19, I'm overweight, I'm a college dropout, I live in the hood. There's no way I can become successful, okay? And I was, I'm obviously laughing at myself. There's no way I can become successful. And he says, dude, like, I believe in you. And you know what? I'll even work for you. Like, let's do that. Like, open up that business. And after overcoming some fear, overcoming some doubt, and experiencing the turmoil of like, man, I'm about to open up a business. Where am I going to get the money from? I actually realized that I saved $7,000 in a college fund. And I had $200 in my bank account, but this fund over here that I didn't have access to for a while had $7,000 in it. So I took that money out and I opened up my first cell phone store. Within a year and a half, I made my first $1 million, and I had 4 locations and I had 14 people working for me. So at this time, I'm 21, made all this money. And what do you do when you live in a place that snows all the time and the people aren't too happy? And you look around you and you're like, man, like, this is not thriving. This is not success. This is not what I envisioned to be success. What do? You go to California, So
of course.
so I took a bunch of money. I shut down the location. I said, look, I'm 21. I'm more focused on me than I am on a business. Because I believe I was so egotistical that I was like, I can do this anywhere. Because I wouldn't say it was easy, but it was my first introduction to success or business. So because of that experience, I was like, yeah, I'll go do it in California, man. I'll go. But before I moved, I wrote down what I call values of toil. So for your audience, you want to write this down, values of toil. The values of toil was the characteristic of how I want to live my life, of how I wanted my business to be. So there was a few things that I had on that list that I remember I wrote it down. I had an office. So I had 4 stores and an office, like a central point. We would house all the phones. All the employees would come there for team meetings. And I'm sitting there with one of the store managers, Joe. And I said, Joe, man, like, what would an ideal life look like, man? And I said to him, man, I got money, but I can't travel. I can't really travel the way I want to travel. And he said, I want to travel too. I said, well, he asked me, why can't I travel? I said, I can't travel because I'm stuck in this state because I have cell phone stores. Like, I'm not big enough to the point where I can just walk away and everything's going to be fine for 2 months. I can't do that. I'm not there yet. We're doing very well for ourselves, but I still got to come in and fix problems every single day. That's what I'm doing. I'm a problem solver for the business. So I said, I want a business where I can travel. where I'm not stuck in one state or one territory. I can go anywhere I want to. I want a business where I can't have an office, but people can work out of the office, but I don't have to be there. I want a business where I'm internationally known. And I wrote down those characteristics. So when I came to California and I had to choose what I was going to do for my life, I went back on those characteristics.
Yeah, that's wonderful to get really, really clear what you want, because otherwise how you're going to take action steps if you don't know what you want your life to look at like.
Yeah, you got to be clear on the vision, on the way that your life is going to look like. You got to get so clear that when you're not experiencing it, you can look at the situation and you can say, this will stay, this will leave. This will stay, this will leave. That's what we call the difference between an ideal scene and a current scene or a current situation. That the ideal situation is that I'm traveling. The ideal situation is, I have money in the bank. The ideal situation is, I have my wife, I have my kids, I have my husband, whatever. And you have the current situation, which is, you could be single, you could be broke, you could be no employees, you could be, by yourself, you could not be thriving, or whatever the situation is. And what is it that you got to change to connect it to?
Yeah. So what did you do, just for people to understand that might be struggling in their business with their sales? What did you do to start a cell phone store and then to get yourself to 4 stores in such a short time and making over $1 million? What's the mindset required?
So it's to get out there. And I think when I say get out there, it's different for everybody. So it might be different for me or what it looks like to get out there. So when I had my first location, it was a kiosk. So I don't remember, it was like a few $1,000 or whatever a month. It was like a kiosk. And in this kiosk, I had 9 phones. And it was generic phones. It was what they call blue phones. So I couldn't afford an iPhone because out of the $7,000 that I had for capital, for me to buy one iPhone will cost $1,000 or nearly $1,000. And then so imagine me having being, just walking around with seven iPhones. That's exactly what I had. So I had to allocate the money correctly. So I bought cheap phones that will cost, or inexpensive phones that cost like $30, $50, $100, so on and so forth. So I had 9 phones in my inventory. And believe me, when I placed those phones, I moved them and I placed them correctly because it was my 9 phones. Now my first goal was to sell these phones, because once I sell it, I can re-up, get new phones, and take the profit. So what I did was I waited for people at my kiosk to come and buy a phone. And I'm on my computer waiting for people. So I'm like, you know what? I got to get seen. I got to get in front of people. So I go from behind the kiosk, go in front of the kiosk, and people are walking by, and I'm like, hello, how are you doing? Hey, people walking by, hello, how are you? Welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for stopping by. Like I'm in the kiosk, so people are already walking by in the middle of the mall, but nobody stops and buys a phone. Now, I got a couple of days until rent's due, man. I got to rent for the next month. I can't go broke I can't be broke for 30 days, So I'm like, yo, I got to start getting customers. So what I did was I greeted. My first step is to greet. So I walk up to a customer. I say, hey, I'm Andy Audate. How are you? And they say, I'm good. But I'm not interested. I said, oh, no problem. I would say, what phone do you have? And then they would say, oh, I have an iPhone. I would say, okay, have you thought about upgrading? And they would say, no, I'm not interested. I'm good. Thank you. And walk away. So I said, you know what? I got to change my tactic. So you know what? I started doing the silent greet, because what happened is in the mall, the staff would say, hey, the mall executive will say, hey, you can't go and grab people. You can't do that. How are you going to tell me I can't go and grab people? But I get it, because they have a whole bunch of kiosks. If everyone was going and grabbing people wouldn't come to the mall, and then therefore the mall will close. So I did a silent greet where essentially I would lower my voice to the point where people can't hear me. So people are literally, 150 feet away from me, and I would be like, hey! And I start mumbling, and I'm over here talking like this. And people are like, what are you saying? And naturally, what they'll do is they'll get closer to hear what I'm saying. So they're like, wait, what do you say? What do you say? So they get closer to me. And then I would say, no, what I asked you was, do you have tea? And I would ask a question that wasn't so so intrusive. I'm asking about data that doesn't go into, like, I'm not gonna ask them like, hey, what's your social security number? Like, that's too intrusive. I haven't built my relationship. So I started with a bigger gap in the greet. Is I go for a less intrusive question. So if your people are writing notes, you gotta take notes on this. I ask a less intrusive question, and then the more I build a relationship, the more intrusive the question becomes. So before I ask them for their social security number, I ask them a huge question like, hey, do you have T-Mobile, AT&T, or Verizon? Like, out of the big carriers, which one do you have? They'll say, oh, I got T-Mobile. I said, oh, T-Mobile, okay, I know T-Mobile. Which phone do you have? Is it the iPhone or the Android? And they'll say, so now it's very important to ask questions that, what is it? I forgot how they call it, but it's like, they don't have like they got to choose one of the answers. I think it's called a tie down. Like, they got to choose one of the answers. You can't be like, hey, what phone do you have? Out of all the millions of phones in the world, you can't just be like, what phone do you have? So you got to give them an option. So I'll give them stuff. So I'll give them options like, you have an iPhone or Android? Oh, I have an iPhone. Okay, great. Hey, which iPhone do you have? iPhone 6. Okay, great. How does that look like? Can you pull it out? And they pulled it out. I put it in my hand. I put it right in my pocket. I say, I got something for you. So I grab their phone. Now they're forced to follow me. So that now I transition to another step called the qualify. So I'm qualifying them to see, A, if they're a good fit for my product, and B, if I'm a good fit or if my product is a good fit for them. So I'm asking questions that would qualify them to see if this is a good fit. How long have you had your phone? Are you interested in upgrading? Have you upgraded before? When's the last time you upgraded? So I'm qualifying them. Based on the information that I get, I then present a solution. So I greeted, I qualified, then I present the solution. So you have the iPhone 6. The iPhone X, you heard about it before, right? Yes, I have. Okay, great. The iPhone X, based on what you shared about me and you and your kids when you go play soccer, based on what you shared, that's the most important thing that you want. So the iPhone X has this many megapixels on the camera, has this many quad-core processors. So that way it's going to focus on and produce your content much faster than your current phone is. So your kid, when you take a picture, it's actually faster and allows you to save that memory. How happy would little Tommy be with mommy having more pictures of him? Oh, he'd be mad. He'd be really happy. I say, great. Then I transition to the clothes. I said, great. So we have two options to get you the phone today. You can finance it or you can pay up front. Which one do you want to do? Remember, I'm giving them the tie down. I can choose which one. I want to finance it. Okay, great. So we have $40 down payment or $60 down payment. Which one do you want? $40. Okay, great. Where's your social security number? Do you see the process that I took? Less intrusive, Go to the close, greet, qualify, present, and close. Yeah. And so once I started doing that and started building that confidence, that's what literally was able to take my business from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah. And I love how you just shared, like, building your confidence, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and making sure that the service fits both parties, right? It's a good match for you. It's a good match for them as well. So what was actually the very first thing that you ever sold in your life?
I was ever sold in my life?
The very first thing you ever sold in your life?
I sold my mom on me going out, taking her car. If we're talking about products, man, I think one of the that I remember was me selling lemonade. I either sold lemonade or I sold candy. I'm pretty sure I sold candy in school, but I remember selling lemonade where my mom was not trying to give me money, and I said, you know what? I went into my fridge at the house, and there was some like plastic cups that my mom had for parties that she would just leave in the pantry. So I said, you know what? I grabbed the house lemonade that the family was drinking out of, and I took it and I went outside and I put a little table, and I was just at the corner of a dead end street. My street was a dead end street, so like 6 people would pass by, throughout the whole day. And I'm at the corner like, hey, I see people on the internet do it. That's what happens to like people on social media when they see like other successful people do something positive and or well, and they say, you know what, I think I could do the same thing. So I'm at this young age, probably sixth grade, and I go outside and I'm on a dead end. 6 people pass by the whole entire day. So I spend an hour outside, nobody walks by. I'm like, why isn't it working for me? Like I have a lemonade, I have the cups, and I have this table with the wood chipping away, but it doesn't matter. The table's outside. I'm imagine 11-year-old chubby Andy out there like looking for people like, yo, are you guys gonna come and buy the lemonade? So one of my neighbors who would walk with her daughter, they would walk around the block a couple of times for their daily exercise. She came around and she bought one, and then I sold my first cup of lemonade, and I got mad, so I drank the rest.
How did it feel when somebody actually gave you money for your first lemonade?
I was like, yo, man, I came out and they gave me $1. I'm gonna go take this $1 and make more dollars. then there was a time that my dad, he came to my bedroom. I was laying down, and he said, Andy, I'm going to go to New York. Do you want me to buy you anything? Because when my dad goes to New York, that's essentially code for I'm going to go buy some clothes, and I'm going to go buy cheap clothes in New York. Because in New York, you could buy clothes for like $1. Like in the hood, you could buy clothes for like $1, 50 cents, stuff like that. So I said, Dad, can you get me the Nike Air Forces, the black ones with the mid tops with the swoosh swoosh, like the Velcro with the swoosh swoosh? Can you give me those? And then he asked me for my size, and I gave him my size, and then he went to New York. A couple of days later, he comes back from New York with a bunch of clothes because he's sending these clothes to Haiti now, to our family back home in Haiti. So he comes with a bunch of clothes, and there's no Nike Air Forces. I'm like, yo, Dad, I thought I was going to be the coolest person in school. Like, I'm envisioning what I'm going to wear with the Nike Air Forces. Like, I'm going to be, like, swagged down. I'm going to be that guy in school. Like, where's my Nike Air Force? I don't see them in the bags. He's like, oh, I didn't get them, man. I didn't get them. Why didn't you get them? It's too much money, man. It's $160. I said, yeah, but I thought you were going to give me the Nike Air Forces, man. You know what? I got to figure it out myself, man. I realized at that moment, I can't just depend on people. I got to go get it myself. So I went across the street. It was snowing at this time. And I went across the street and I asked my neighbor, I said, hey, John, can I shovel your yard? I put all the snow to the corner, pay me $10. He said, I'm all set, and I have a snowblower. And I was devastated. I was like, man. He said, no. So I went to the neighbor next door, and I said, hey, Martin, Mr. Martin, can I shovel for you? He said, no, we're all set, Andy. I'm going to do it myself. I'm like, man, I'm looking across the street at my house, and I'm saying, man, I should just go home. And I look to his neighbor, to Martin's neighbor, and I look at them, and I say, you know what? I'm going to go ask them. So I go ask, and then they gave me $10. So I said, okay, it is possible. That's the first thing that I had to know. Number one, that it was possible. Number two, $10 was not enough to get me the sneakers that I wanted. So I kept on going around the block, and then I went around the block, and I went to enough properties to get 16 deals, and I got the $160 that I needed for the sneakers. I went home, I put them in my bed, and I grabbed my iron and I cleaned. I just made the money look real pretty. Like I just flattened it out. Imagine like this guy who's like 10 years old, 10, 11 years old, like ironing. I closed my door, but my door was jacked up. So even though I closed it and locked it, you can still open it from outside sometimes. So my mom comes in and opens the door. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I feel like I'm a drug dealer. I'm like, "Oh, I got the money, And I moved the money, and I'm like this small 10-year-old guy. And but I didn't want to buy the sneakers because now it was my money. I know what it took to buy the sneakers. I was like, I don't want to buy the sneakers, man. I just want to keep the money. Then I wanted to scale that business essentially. So I went to my friend at school and I said, hey man, I made $160 yesterday. He said, how you do that? I said, I went door to door. I said, why don't you come work with me? So me and him started this business where we started shoveling people's yard and we would split the money. I was able to hit more doors with his help. Then because I got the help, we kept it going to the fall where it went from doing snow, and then the summer came. Now we were cleaning up the leftover of the leaves that fell and so on and so forth. So we were raking people's leaves and so on and so forth. So we kept that business, and I became a young entrepreneur.
Wow, what a story. I just love it. We're running out of time for this wonderful episode, but I want to make sure that we send people to progressionticket.com to check out your site. And I have all the links to you also in the show notes. So it's just one click away. And
yeah, progression ticket. Essentially, now that you hear that, that's kind of the beginning of my story. I did the cell phone thing. Then now what I realize is that people need the opportunity to learn how to do it on themselves, like to learn how do you make $1 million. Like it's not about the money or the business, it's actually the mindset. So the Progression Conference allows people to have that mindset. So when I came to California, I became a speaker. Now I host seminars teaching the mindset of how to literally revolutionize your life. And that's what progressionticket.com is. And now we're going through every city in the country, and soon we'll be coming to Germany.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for our next interview. I have so many more questions. So let's send people to progressionticket.com. And if that's too complicated, just go to the show notes and you will find all the resources there. And it's one click away to Andy. Just hop on over, click, and check it out. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Progressionticket.com. Thank you so much.
Well, gorgeous, I hope you have gotten some golden nuggets out of this episode. I for sure have. I just love what you can do if you really pursue your dreams. If you know deep inside you were born for more and you actually take steps to make that true. And as Andy said, it all starts with you, and you have to learn and self-educate so that you can be on that mindset of growth and you can really go for your dreams. So hop on over to christineschlonski.com, find the podcast tab with the amazing episode 246, The Mindset of Growth. And also we do have the opportunity to get a second episode with Andy. And I'm inviting you to come back and have a listen as well. Once you're over there at christineschlonski.com/podcast, also find all the links to connect with Andy and the resources. He has an amazing free gift, the Virtual Progression Conference Live. The link is right on the page. And also there's a link to his book, No More Average: How to Take Control of Your Mindset, Overcome Fear, Reach Peak Performance, and Achieve Your Goals, which is such an amazing topic for every single one of us. So hop on over to christineschlonski.com and check that out. And once you're over there, sign up for the empowerment notes. That's empowerment right into your inbox, the updates on Hard Sales Podcast, as well as amazing content that I usually do not share on social media. So I see you over there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. If you have questions, if you have feedback, if you want to ask something that we can actually discuss on a Variety Friday, just write me an email to info@christineschlonski.com. And I am looking forward to the next episode with Andy. And in the meantime, you have a wonderful day wherever you are in this beautiful world. Bye for now.